Death returned with a vengeance as Final Destination Bloodlines dominated the box office. Welcome to the Box Office Revival. I'm Brandon Gray, the creator of Box Office Mojo. The first Final Destination movie in 14 years raked in $46.1 million over the weekend ending May 18th, 2025, handily topping the box office and delivering the biggest debut ever for the horror franchise. Meanwhile, in second place, Thunderbolts tumbled 49% to $16.6 million, lifting its total to a low by MCU standards $155.5 million in 17 days. Now, while the new Avengers gained some ground on Captain America: Brave New World, it lost ground versus Shang-Chi. Not only that, Thunderbolts had a steeper third weekend drop-off than both Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, the previous two Marvel movies to be released in May. Hot on Thunderbolt's heels, Sinners was third with $15.2 million, down only 31%, and raising its total to $240.6 million in 31 days. That makes Sinners the 12th highest grossing R-rated movie of all time, surpassing Beverly Hills Cop and The Exorcist. Although, huge asterisk there because those are two of the most popular movies of all time in terms of attendance. And rounding out the top 5 were a Minecraft movie and The Accountant 2, each with solid holds. But it was a bad weekend for The Weeknd, as Hurry Up Tomorrow may have to hurry up to streaming after this box office flop. Just $1.66 million for the weekend. Yeah, that $3.3 million total you see includes various preview screenings prior to the weekend, but not the actual weekend. And as well as Final D did, overall this past weekend was one of the least attended pre-Memorial Day weekends ever. But at least it was an improvement over last year when that imaginary friend family picture If opened. Overall, 2025 is running roughly 15% ahead of 2024 at the same point, but it's down around 32% from 2019. And here are the top grossing movies of 2025 so far. And as of May 20th, Bloodlines is already the 7th highest grossing movie of the year. Yes, Death just beat Jesus. Now, back to the resurrection of Final Destination. So, Death's previous peak weekend was in 2009 when The Final Destination debuted to $27.4 million. Here's all the Final D openings. As you can see, the franchise kept going up from the first Final D on through to the fourth. And then there was a pullback with Final Destination 5. Adjusting for ticket price inflation makes a slight change. Final Destination 2 comes out ahead of FD5, and FD5 was closer to the start of the first Final D. Now, one moment to explain these numbers a bit. I'm listing a range here with the first number assuming a conservative current average ticket price of about $11 and change, and the second higher number assuming a nearly $14 average ticket price today, which I have seen reported, so I'm just trying to cover all the bases here. But please note that adjusting for ticket price inflation is always a rough estimate because there's so many variables. We don't know how many tickets any of these movies actually sold, for instance, but adjusting does at least give us a better sense of the respective popularity of movies over time. Anyway, as for the final box office sums of the Final Destinations, that fourth entry ended its run with $66.5 million and is still the highest grossing Final D movie overall. But not for long. Bloodlines will surpass it by no later than Thursday, May 22nd. This sixth Final D is already the second highest grossing movie of the franchise, unadjusted for ticket price inflation. Now, adjusted for ticket price inflation, Bloodlines is effectively tied with Final Destination 5 for last place, but it's about to surpass FD5 in a matter of days, if not moments. Here's the franchise with the conservative adjustment, and now with the more aggressive adjustment. Any way you slice it, the first cut is still the deepest. The OG Final D is number 1. But Bloodlines has an excellent shot at usurping the OG by the time it sheds this theatrical coil, at least with that conservative adjustment. After all, Bloodlines is a bit of a crowd pleaser, earning a B+ on CinemaScore, which is extremely high by horror movie standards. In fact, Final Destination, as a franchise, has historically been a crowd pleaser. 4 out of 6 have scored B pluses, 2, 3, 5, and now 6. This also confirms that it's no urban legend that the Final Destination is the worst one. That was reflected by its cinema score back in the day, 2009. It got a C. Now, even looking outside the box office parameters of the Final Destination franchise, Bloodlines has been killing it. Its opening more than doubled the debuts of Smile and Smile 2, and it quadrupled The Monkey, among other recent movies about ill-fated characters that die in nasty or creative ways. And among legacy horror sequels, as far as I can tell, only Halloween 2018 had a higher grossing debut. Bloodlines even exceeded the much-hyped Alien Romulus and Scream 6. And to think Final Destination Bloodlines was originally meant to go straight to streaming on HBO Max. You know, streaming, where movies go to die when they don't have significant theatrical releases. When I first heard that news, I thought, this is crazy. Final D is a theatrical franchise that, until the 5th one, was remarkably consistent at the box office. Whoever thought Final D should go straight to streaming clearly didn't understand the franchise's appeal and its potential. So it's nice to see that cooler heads prevailed. Because first off, Final Destination has an inherently thrilling and relatable premise, essentially how people can die from everyday things, but with the added anticipation of watching the puzzle pieces come together in a gruesome death. This is also a franchise that, like Scream, a couple of generations grew up on, and for many, Bloodlines was their first chance to see a Final D on the big screen. Those first 5 movies simmered in the culture all these years, being reappraised and probably the subject of countless memes and reaction videos. So, while many were discouraged by Final Destination 5 being the lowest grossing entry, that picture is now widely regarded as one of the best entries of the franchise. Back in the day, it suffered from the sins of the 4th movie, which again is universally accepted as the franchise's worst entry, and I don't think it helped matters that Final Destination 5 had the shortest turnaround either, coming out less than 2 years after number 4, when the franchise norm had been 3 years. The stench of 4 was still in the air. But Final Destination 5 paved the way for this huge comeback we see with Bloodlines. Over the past 14 years since its release, FD5 helped rehabilitate the franchise after that audience disappointment that was the 4th installment. Absence does make the heart grow fonder, and it certainly helps when the marketing department produces a banger of a trailer. Like the cringe-inducing one with that shard of glass getting mixed in the ice and passed around. They even merged it with the New Line Cinema logo. And now, we're just waiting for that inevitable announcement of Final Destination 7. And that's a wrap on this box office report. If you're looking for more of that objective perspective on the movies and the box office, please like this video if you liked it, share it, and subscribe to the Box Office Revival. Thank you for watching.